Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Orphanlast, aka Skylar Madison, and today I'm going to go ahead and provide you guys with basically my childhood artwork. This isn't all of it, and I don't think that we're going to get through even just this stack of it. I have a lot of artwork from my childhood, and some of it has been a little bit damaged. You can actually see that the page kind of curled there, but it's fine. It is what it is. The artwork still exists, which is great. Whereas, you know, just a short while ago, I thought it didn't exist. I just barely found it after it was missing for about a year and a half. Now, I do apologize for how this is recorded. I don't have the best situation to film live action stuff. And so this is just the reality of the situation. Okay, so this stuff I actually drew after 2008. It was probably about 2009-ish. Nothing too amazing. It's just me trying to experiment with comic books and stuff. This is a few years after I graduated high school and such like that. Trying to figure out different stuff. Like, I've shown images similar to this where I'm just trying to experiment with drawing backgrounds with as few rules as possible. Okay, you're going to see a couple images like this a few times here. This is me kind of, I'm not quite sure when I drew this. I think I was still in high school. And basically, it's just an abstraction of the human face, trying to understand how things are composed and kind of leaving it that way. Now, I actually have a good number of pictures of me drawing naked angels, mostly women. You know, I don't know what this means exactly, just, you know, a really pretty girl angel, and she's holding her halo, kind of, I don't know, almost looking like she wants to drop it or something. I don't know what it means. Yeah, I don't know why I drew this, but two angels in loving embrace. Yay, yay. Okay, now I was writing a book all throughout middle school and high school. I had a really big difficulty learning how to read. And actually, the one thing that actually got me to start reading was reading my own stuff, and you know, basically I would draw my own character designs and fan art of my own stuff. And I have the book. The book actually is finished. It's just I will never publish it because it's a pile of crap. You know, this is Toby Winters. He's supposed to be a giant. I don't feel as though I ever got his proportions correct for him being a giant, but it is what it is. I mean, but this is one of my more refined sketches of him, trying to think of how his armor specifically, how it would be designed and stuff. And if I were to ever do something with this, then like with this book or this science fiction universe that I created, then I think I would use something very similar to this. There are problems with the image, of course. You know, the deltoid. If his forearm, like if his thumb is placed like this, then his deltoid should be pointed more that way. That's a problem, a reoccurring problem in a lot of my pictures where. Especially my older pictures, where there's multiple perspectives going on the same anatomical form, and that's a big problem. This is an alien that my brother designed, and I decided to draw something from his universe, I guess. One of my other brothers actually stood in this pose for probably about an hour. We didn't have smartphones back then, and cameras and film were really expensive. This was made in 2000, and so, you know, it's an okay image. I think I benefited from my brother standing there in this pose as a reference with the foreshortening right there. But most everything else about the pose, I don't think I benefited from it at all. Nothing really too much to talk about here. The expanded universe for Star Wars, there's one particular artist that drew most of the covers for it, and he drew alien trees really interesting, and so I decided to kind of draw one kind of like that. Yeah, sometimes I keep stuff. Okay, actually, you know what? I have a deviant art. It's called Augustine Graphics, And this image is actually the original image for one of those pictures. The thing is like I drew this out as the base and then used Photoshop to finish the image. And this was when I was first kind of starting to understand curvilinear perspective, where you're both looking up and looking down at these pillars. You're looking straight ahead at the pillars here, you're looking up at them here, and looking down at them here. This is kind of like a political cartoon for religion. I don't know what I am 10 minutes till midnight means, but I was thinking about making it into a full-on comic book and finding out what that means over time. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Just a random alien I designed. This is, my experience throughout my whole childhood. This is some of the reason why I don't do character designs on my channel right now. It's primarily because that's all I did when I was a teenager. Like, that's all I ever did. I rarely ever drew an image that actually told a story like this. Where this guy is standing on this island that looks like that's floating in the sky, that looks like the shape of a fish, and evidence mathematics, philosophy. I really disagree with most of the things that I was thinking back then, at least to some extent, mostly on the extremes of how I thought back then. But anyhow, this right here actually tells a story to some extent. Kind of like a dreamlike sequence sort of thing. But images like this tell nothing. And it's like, okay, cool, you got this creature with 3 spider legs. That's cool. And it looks evil. Does it have to be evil? Like, can it be a good guy? And if it looks evil, isn't it just cliche to just decide that it's just evil? Doesn't it have some sort of redeeming qualities to it? I don't know. That's the thoughts that come to me whenever I think of this stuff. And yeah. And basically an ape. The idea is, if you look right here, there's like this device that wraps around the back of the ape's skull. And the idea was that it made the ape have more of a psychology like a human being. I'm hesitant to say that it makes the ape smarter, because I've seen a lot of different types of experiments done on apes, and in some ways they are smarter than us, especially with memory retention, especially with things that we usually seem to think are meaningless and pointless, you can show a full deck of cards in a particular order, and the ape will actually remember what order each and every single one of those cards were. And that's interesting. 50 cards, and the ape is able to remember all of them. Me trying to draw action, and to some extent I succeeded with this guy, I feel. This works. He just kind of, I don't really feel like he's got any sort of forceful action going on this way, and I think some of that is because the angle of his torso is like this when it should be like this. But if he was tilted more, then his arm wouldn't have been in the canvas. So this is basically me trying to compensate for the fact that I did not plan out the image and sketch it all out properly. Early on, the rough sketch did not factor in all of those things, and you can't see his hips here, and so it kind of comes off weird. But yeah, so this is Vosh right here. He's the side view right here of him. Vosh is an interesting character of mine. His face is actually designed after a painting that I saw. The painting had a picture of a rolled up duffel bag, and I just saw a face in that, and I decided to draw it. This is Ajan. Basically, my brother, he helped me draw this image a little bit, mainly with the rib cage, but that's just kind of crazy. But it's very Metal Gear Solid inspired, and I kind of don't like the image just purely based off of that, both because Metal Gear Solid sucks and because it's not an original work. And I was thinking about including this character on my book, and I don't think he ever did make it into the book. Here's another picture of Vosh. This is when I was starting to kind of refine his look quite a bit, and like his armor and all that. What would have made it interesting is here he is with the side view. It would have been more interesting as if he was looking at the camera. I feel, but you know that's some of the problem with a lot of people's artwork. They either draw a character that is, and this is even a problem that I suffered from, where a character is either standing there staring straight at the camera doing nothing, or he's a side view doing kind of something. And here's one of my early pictures of Vosh right here. You can see that the actual structure of his face is actually constructed kind of differently. This is more loyal to the picture of the duffel bag than any of my other images. But the thing is I had his eyes shrouded in shadow and stuff like that. Primarily because that's how the duffel bag looked. It looked like his eyes were in shadow, at least how I was interpreting it. And so that's that. Sometimes I just have like really rough sketches with nothing really to comment on. Just garbage. This can go in the trash, really. That's not even mine. That's my ex-wife's, actually. Me trying to draw characters in a scene, kind of a romantic sort of image. It's fine. It is what it is. This is a running trend in a lot of my early pictures. A character with a Captain Morgan pose, and they're standing on some sort of toxic waste. And oftentimes even the toxic waste is leaking out. I don't think I ever did anything with this character, but like character design was the only thing that I could seem to ever draw back then, and so that's just what I drew. That's the frustrating thing. Who cares about a character if there's nothing? Like if there's nothing going on with that character? I mean, cool, you get to see what the character looks like. I created a name for him. Malanta Olnay or something, or Sen Malanta or something. I don't know. But who gives a crap? It's like some frog man with a humanoid, like human-like C-shaped, not C-shaped. Well, maybe a C-shaped spine or an S-curved spine. I don't know. Yeah, there's still like multiple perspectives going on here. The deltoid needed to look like it's pointing that ways more. Well, either that or that ways more. I don't know. I mean, it's an okay, well illustrated image, but I have 1,000 pictures like this. It doesn't matter if it's this picture or if it's this picture. Or this is just a photocopy of the original. I call this the same drawing. They're the same drawing. There's nothing going on in these pictures, in these three pictures. It's the exact same picture, pretty much. A character standing there staring at the camera. It's a horrible habit to be in, and if you happen to have this habit, get out of it. Get out of it now. Okay? This is a little bit different. I like this a little bit more than I like this, because like it's an experimentation with poses and stuff like that, and that's fine. I don't know. He looks kind of stupid in my point of view. Kind of trying to experiment with him looking up and seeing the bottom portion of his jaw and stuff. That's fine if he doesn't look perfect. A little robot design, I guess. I was really inspired by Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, specifically Warrior Within, and I tried to incorporate visual stuff that was similar to it. That's some of the problem with me. A lot of the time I rip something off, and I try as best as I can not to. Here's kind of an example. Everyone's seen the the yin-yang sort of symbol, but I've gone ahead and redesigned it to be something kind of different. I don't know. In a way, it's its own thing, but in a way, everyone knows it's just a yin-yang. Again, a picture just like any other picture, where I just have a character standing there staring at the camera. Kind of dumb. Experimenting with facial features, especially with emotive stuff. Maybe his mouth should have been bigger, I think. Kind of extending further out that way, I think. But it works. It is what it is. I was thinking about kind of creating a storyboard or something for kind of a post-apocalyptic thing, and that's kind of some of what this is, I guess. The ear is wrong. You should be able to see the what goes behind the ear there, but whatever. A naked lady. She's running away. She's scared of me, I guess. So yeah. I like this image. I like this image a lot because it kind of, I mean, it sets a setting. He's in an environment, and the idea is that these rings that extend off towards a distance, maybe they create like this holographic fishnet where ships that are coming into the atmosphere, they can come in at extreme velocities, but that fishnet of holographic or tractor beam like qualities with these rings slows them down rather quickly. That's some of the thought. There's nothing about this image really that I have to say, other than, you know, pregnant lady, she wants this dude to touch her belly, whatever. Trying to draw out a scene, like an environment, that's something that I really struggled with as a kid. And that's some of the reason why I emphasize it so much nowadays. If you can't draw the environment, then you're not really much of an artist. At least that's the way I see it. You're not able to tell a story. I mean, what good are you if the only thing that you can draw is a guy standing there staring at the camera? And now this image got kind of damaged, but I really like this image because, like, you're in an alleyway. If I were to I kind of want to redraw this image, but if you're in an alleyway sort of thing, I wish I had more going on with the building, like windows and stuff like that. There's never any point where a building is really this tall unless they're warehouses and they don't have any windows. So that's kind of something that's kind of weird. I have him in silhouette, which is fine. I imply that there is a spaceship back there, and maybe he's going to get into that spaceship and fly away. And so yeah, and there's a lot of implied environment going on in this image, and I really like it. And really, there wasn't much perspective work needed in order to illustrate this image. And I really like the image just purely based off of that alone. So that's some food for thought right there. This is that post-apocalyptic kind of storyboard thing that I was thinking about working with. I was thinking that he would be able to use his shovel like a battle axe sort of thing. I really like this image specifically. I don't know why. Like, I did this a lot where one foot would be pointed forward and the other foot would be a true profile. That's idiotic. I don't know why I did that so often. But everything else about the image I really like. I just wish, I wish that I drew more buildings in the background. That, like I said, environments are something that I struggled with, and so I always kept the backgrounds really, really basic. And that's I really focus on backgrounds a lot more. Oh, he's sad. He's so sad. Or he's so sad. Anyhow, trying to experiment with facial features and stuff like that. I wish I showed that the cheekbone kind of connects to the upper third of the ear there a little bit better. But other than that, I really feel as though this image turned out looking really good. Okay, yeah, so this is another one of the rip-off pictures, and also another image of a guy standing there staring at the camera. A little midget man, or little people man. I'm not really quite sure what they want to be called. Nothing that I'm saying is meant to insult anyone. If you happen to be small, and all that, then, you know, I don't, like, I wouldn't want to say anything derogatory to you. Okay, so basically, we have a really small person. We have we have the kind of a Legend of Zelda sort of inspired sword, and there's an old video game on the original NES that has a tank that looks exactly like that, and this is supposed to be something from my book. And see, this is what happens when you're a kid and you're thinking about writing a book. You're taking ideas from everything and thinking that if all of them are compiled together, then maybe they might be their own original idea. But no, that's not the way it works at all. I realized the problems that I was facing with a lot of these ideas that I had back then. This is one of the main characters of the book. You'll notice that a lot of time I'll have like armor where there's like plating that kind of wraps around variously different muscles and stuff, and the entire forearm or something, or the pectorials and stuff. This helped me kind of perceive things in terms of shape and form. I had a video about that and kind of suggested people try it out. Okay, this is a cool image. I really like this one. This is well, this is Matt Everson, I think is the name that I came up with. I kind of kept changing what his hairstyle would be. I was thinking he would have black hair and a flat top, but then here I made him more depressive and more emo, I suppose. I kind of like this version a lot more, just simply because it has a lot more personality to it, but I don't like emo. I think I would give him the look of emo, but not really give him the personality of it. The idea is that he's blind, and he uses these little orbs that can see a full 360 degrees vertically, horizontally, diagonally, everywhere. And so he technically is able to see everything in his environment much clearer than anyone else, even though he's blind. It's just he kind of feels detached from his body, primarily because he perceives everything in the environment, including himself, from a third person, which is kind of interesting. Now this is interesting here. This picture, this kind of illustrates an idea I had. So instead of science fiction, everyone says activate the deflectors and the shields. Now the shields, I was thinking were like something that would block projectiles for something like bullets, actual physical projectiles, whereas deflectors would be something that would kind of be a defensive procedure for like energy weapons. And so, like, here's like a laser blast or whatever it is. It comes towards him and it's reacting and wrapping around him and flying away. It's something it's not able to touch him is the thing. And it's kind of like trying to like you get your finger wet and then you drop some oil on it. You're not going to have really any oil on you because, you know, water is heavier than oil, that sort of thing. Or just generally you get a cup full of water and then you pour oil on it. Oil floats to the top. It's the same sort of concept, I guess. And so he's kind of like Cheers. He has this champagne glass that's really long and stuff. Again, this is one of those sorts of images where I wish instead of him having a side view, he was pointed towards us. It would have made it look a lot more dynamic. But that would have required a lot more foreshortening going on with the forearm and stuff. But whatever. Another character design where the guy's doing nothing. But I guess it's practice for anatomy, I guess. Drawing the back of somebody, that's something I don't have much practice doing, and I like this image because, you know, it's trying to at least put some sort of something in the background. It's very minimalistic with the background, but still, I mean, you know, this is kind of weird where his arm is back here and then his, like, your wrist wouldn't be able to twist that far for the sword to be behind him that way, but this is a picture that I tend to be kind of fond of. Framing the image can be just as interesting as having a background. That's something that I've kind of noticed out of comic books. You'll notice that there's these lines that go here, and that gives you a sense of verticality to the image, and then something that breaks that vertical panel that you got going on there. It looks nice. I like that, and you know, it's not an image of anger or anything. It's, you know, some guy that looks kind of dignified, reaching out in a friendly embrace with something and someone that looks completely different. And I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, this is one of the main characters of my book, I guess. The early version of that design for the yin yang, whatever. I don't know why I wanted to incorporate that with my book, but anyhow, lots of foreshortening going on with the torso. I think I did okay with that. The foreshortening with you know, from the deltoid down to the elbow, I don't think I got right. The foreshortening on his forearm to his hand, I think is fine. I kind of wish that I made his hand a little bit bigger, just simply because it's even closer. I don't know. Maybe not. I think his head is probably a little too small though. And that's a problem that I had in terms of proportions. Drawing people with really tiny heads and people that are just standing there staring at the camera. And a lot of the time drawing people wearing armor. But then again, that was kind of the whole point of the book. It was super futuristic soldiers and stuff like that, and so they wear armor, and so drawing characters without armor is kind of something. Not really much to say about this, just me kind of practicing, really. A sad guy punching a wall. I don't know why you'd be squatting like that. Punching a wall. Oh, I'm so sad. And it looks like it's raining because there's these little lines going here. Oh, no. Anyhow, and I guess I was angry the day that I drew this, and I showed it to my dad, and he just, oh, that's a horrible image. You'll notice that if I put this close up to the camera, there's a texture to the paper. I don't like that. I don't like textured paper. It's just I guess it works for like if you're planning on doing watercolor, but I don't do watercolor. I don't like watercolors. Most watercolor paintings I think look like trash. There are definitely exceptions, but I think this is a watercolor sort of paper. It interferes. The texture interferes with your ability to put in details, and so those are just my thoughts. I drew this after I graduated high school. I wish I had inked it with actual inks instead of markers. I feel like the original sketch or original drawing was much more dynamic than this. I don't even know if you guys can really tell what it is. It's a guy that's holding a dead woman, blood on the ground. It's raining, and you can see like they're underneath like a street lamp or something like that. Sometimes you just want to blow your brains out. Another character design. I guess he's an elf, and he's got claws, and yeah, not much to really say. I was drawing from a Frank Frazetta image. Yep, enough said. Little symbol that I thought would represent me. I think that my logo nowadays represents me a hell of a lot better than this ever could. But it's kind of a cool picture. Doodles. Little doodles while you're talking on the phone. More doodles as you're talking on the phone. One of the easiest things to draw in the entire world is a mushroom. But, you know, I kind of drew a mushroom and then I kind of drew out the base to like a baby's bib, but never drew out the actual, whatever it is, the rubbery bit that the baby chews on. Anyhow, little designs, maybe a tattoo sort of idea. I used to have a lot of people come over to me and, hey, can you design a tattoo for me? Can you design? I don't know. I still kind of get that every once in a while. Yeah, just practice, really. It is what it is. Okay, really super basic illustration of a woman's profile view. Just kind of practicing with least number of lines. Kind of interesting how that works out. Again, something kind of similar to the same idea. Kind of a woman's profile view, but kind of using tribal tattoo sort of ideas going on with it. I'm a big fan of Dune. A huge fan of Dune. And this is my Children of Dune fan art piece. And I wish there was more foreshortening going on with his arm out there. But generally, I like this piece. You can see that I was struggling to try to illustrate the rocks. I was successful here, but I think that I lost perspective of what I was doing here. But yeah. TN, yeah, logo design basically, another attempt at logo design and such. Before I even knew Photoshop or Affinity Photo or Krita or any of the other cool programs. This I drew in high school, just something dynamic, trying to show that I can draw something cool while I was in class, I guess. Just practice, really. Nothing really to talk about. There's nothing going on in the scene, really. Just whatever. Kind of another logo design, The Haze, long before the video game The Haze came out, or whatever. But that's just what I came up with. Sometimes I have just blank pieces of paper. I never drew inside of a sketchbook, so I just keep papers with me everywhere. Yeah, me tracing stuff and just keeping these as references, because sometimes I wouldn't have access to the stuff that I'd want to trace. This one I want to talk about. A spaceship design that I made. This, of all the things that I've designed this is something that I would like to 3D model at some point in time. This is a cool design. I like it. Frank Frazetta sort of reference that I used for that. Like spaceship design, kind of ripping off the Millennium Falcon in a way, and 3 big gigantic cannons right there. It is what it is. I don't know. This is actually something that goes with something else, a scratch board. This was never supposed to be the final image. It's just part of a scratch board, and I think the scratch board turned out looking pretty good, but this is just like the preliminary step of it all. I do like how I drew out that arm. I like how all of this is done well. The alien could have been thought out a little bit better. He could have been drawn out a little bit better as well, but everything is still able to be interpreted as what it is, which I'm glad for that. After I got into my ATV accident, I was on, I broke a lot of bones. Every once in a while you'll see a couple pictures like this. This is straight after 2008. I was kind of trying to reassess what I do for work, what I do for a living, trying to reassess my life, because it was a life-changing event. And so I was trying out logo design, even though I didn't know how to use Photoshop or anything. I was on oxycodone at the time, and when the oxycodone wore out, I was asking myself, why am I doing this? Why am I designing these logos and such like that? What's the point? I don't actually do logo design for a living, and I don't even know the necessary software. And so I kind of just stopped, and that's fine, because eventually I got to learn Photoshop. Little designs for a gun, and thinking what type of alien or what type of anatomy would be necessary to kind of what type of technology would accompany a gun like that. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Yeah, kind of a shoulder cannon there. Nothing really all that special. You can see inspiration from Final Fantasy VII here. I was thinking some sort of really dense cloth sort of material that could be used kind of like a shield. Maybe it could harden or something like that, so that he could block. I don't know. It is what I don't know. Yeah, it's. another guy standing there staring at the camera. I have no idea why I drew that, why I drew it like that, whatever. Tuttle's Knuckles. Earlier you saw some logo designs and stuff that said TN. A friend from high school, he wanted to create a longboard company. I don't think it ever happened, and he wanted me to draw out a whole bunch of designs and such, but I never even discussed like payment methods or anything like that, or how much I would get paid for it. This is a confusing Tuttle's Knuckles. Like, there's nothing that actually tells you that it's separate. It's difficult to read. It's yeah, whatever. Mason Productions. Yeah, I think it looks kind of cool, kind of rusty, rustic. It looks like someone had a sign and someone got a shotgun and pow, pow, started shooting at it, and it rusted over time. Another one of my brother's aliens. Not really much to say about it, just me practicing drawing my brother's aliens. I drew this just primarily because I wanted to know if I were to draw a background, would I be able to place a person in that background? I feel like I succeeded, and like you can, at least I can see it. Like, I didn't have any idea what I was doing when drawing this image. You can see the horizon lines all wrong. The stairs look all wonky, and they're not even measured out. But this kind of, like, practice got me to want to continue to create environments. His cheekbone should not land here. It should land more in the upper third portion of the ear. And this is Admiral Saladin. If I ever were to try to rewrite my book that I was writing back in high school, I would change his name because everyone kept trying to correct me and saying Saladin. I'm like, why do you say that? Oh, because there's a historical figure instead of Muslim culture. I'm like, this has nothing to do with Muslims. Like, it's Saladin. But yeah, and a lot of people point at that and say, "Oh, that's you took that from the Matrix." But I think that generally the idea of people jacking themselves and networking themselves with computers is not a new concept inside of science fiction. And so, just simply because the Matrix was popular at the time, it doesn't necessarily mean someone stole an idea. I don't feel as though I stole that. The irony of this piece, I drew this years and years before I got into my ATV accident. The book not so much, but the motorcycle helmet. This looks a lot like the motorcycle helmet that I was wearing at the time. I kept it around for a couple of years, just simply because half of it was just completely destroyed, and it was kind of like a reminder. It's kind of like keeping around a photograph and just kind of thinking, you came this close to death or something like that. I don't know, it was just something that I wanted to keep around, but somebody who's related to me by marriage decided to throw it away. It's not the only time that particular family member decided to do something like that, deciding what it is that should and shouldn't be valued for somebody else. It's just what that person specializes in. Anyhow, another picture where a character's head is way too small, but at least I was drawing things to where I was perceiving things with shape and form. The proportions are wrong, but generally it's kind of cool. This gun was kind of an interesting idea. The barrel of it, the idea was that it would be able to kind of fold into itself, and that you'd be able to press a button and the barrel of the gun would just kind of snap out. Yeah, which was, I don't know how practical that idea is. I'm not a gunsmith, but it's just an idea that I had. Something about naked women. I really like them. And a cybernetic naked woman inside of a sci-fi tube, where that sci-fi tube is connected to some sort of computer thing, and there's like cybernetic stuff connected into her brains and cybernetic stuff connected into her backs. That cool. That cool stuff. Anyhow, yeah. A lot of cool stuff going on here. I would actually like to redraw this image at some point in time. The perspective is all wrong in the background. I didn't even use a vanishing point or anything. I knew that I should have used a vanishing point, but I didn't. This is supposed to be Admiral Saladin, and this is supposed to be the main character of the book. And he's got a teddy bear that's got sci-fi personality, trying to protect him and stuff. Which some people have related to the Steven Spielberg movie AI. I hate that movie, first and foremost, and I was working on this book long before I saw AI. This came before, but there's no way I could prove it. But whatever. I like this image. I mean, it's a good quality image. And like children are difficult to draw. And I think I did a very successful child there. So Toby Winters, okay? Toby Winters. He's supposed to be a giant, and Vosh is supposed to be like half the size of a human being in his most comfortable pose, which is usually kind of crouched down, kind of like an ape. And I liked the idea of Vosh standing on Toby Winters' shoulders and stuff like that. I like that. And this is another thing about character design. If a character if a character is evil, he has to look evil. He has to look evil. That's the way it works, don't you know? I hate that. This is one of my early pictures of Bosch. I think it looks pretty good. I think his proportions are all wrong for him. I had no idea that I wanted him to have like a C-shaped spine. I had no idea that at the time that I'd want him to be kind of crouched over and stuff. But yeah, I was thinking that he'd wear like a head covering most of the time. I knew that I wanted him to have something kind of like an E.T. neck, like E.T. from the Steven Spielberg movie. But beyond that, yeah. Actually, let me grab this one real quick. This is the scratch board that I drew out earlier. Yeah, it came out looking pretty good. So this is the final work of art for that. I was really into Battlestar Galactica, the Ronald D. Moore version. And so I kind of wanted to design a spaceship kind of like it, but a little bit bulkier. And yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I kind of used isometric perspective rather than formal vanishing point and such. And so yeah, that looks good. Okay, so this is me trying to experiment with backgrounds. And this was, let's see, I know there's a year here. I think that's 2004. Kind of hard to read, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. But the windows and stuff. Usually there should be a lintel and a sill, a window sill, and usually there's some sort of support structure, something that supports the lintel for each window. And the thing is like I put all of this effort, putting all this detail in these characters. And yet, it's like, I just thought, okay, background should just be easy, and you shouldn't have to put in all that detail. And you shouldn't have to think about them as carefully as you do your characters. That's not the way it works. You have to think every bit as carefully about your backgrounds, actually possibly even more carefully about your backgrounds as you do your characters. And that's some of the reason why I draw my backgrounds first. It's because I need to give my background the respect that it deserves. But my brother, one of my brothers, he would be really encouraging to me, and he'd say, I saw you draw this image, and this shows that you can draw some amazing things. And yeah, if this is all you can draw, you're on the right track. Okay? Yeah. You see, the thing is you're looking down at this face right here, and because you're looking down at this face, you wouldn't be able to look up at this face underneath it. So the perspective is all off. But I wanted to see if I could draw a background without a vanishing point, and the answer is not very effectively. Another picture that's a fan art piece of Dune. This is Chani from Dune, And the actual writing here, I have the Dune Encyclopedia, and that actually does say something. I'm not really quite sure what it says. It reads jihad, because it says Banner reads jihad here, because that's something that the Fremen are seeking after. She has the Atreides hawk on her chest. You can kind of see that Atreides hawk on her chest, and I like the idea of her having like this cloth kind of wrap around there, and there's this like ornate tribal decorations on it, and same thing going on down here, or maybe that's just part of her still suit. I don't know. I'm really not sure. I always thought that the still suit should have some armor on it, and you know, she's got those nose plugs, and you know, a mouthpiece as well. I like this image. I like it a lot. Every once in a while, I would draw pictures of people kissing. I like how I drew her. I don't like how I drew like this portion of her chest. But I like how I drew her face and her arm and stuff, and kind of her waist. But that one section I kind of don't like, and I don't like just about everything about the dude. Alright, this is just as I was entering into high school. I think this is 2001. Yeah, not really much to really talk about. This is when I was refining the look of the characters. I kind of wish that I decided upon that emo style for Matt Everson, I think is his name. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I wound up deciding on. Vosh looks just right, and this is Leor, kind of, yeah, what it is. Another little romance picture, whatever. I think I drew from something for the face, but I wound up drawing everything else all on my own. The idea of a destroyed Earth in the background, whatever. Yep. Another logo design after I got into my ATV accident. Garden Electric. I think it looks pretty elegant. I like it. Looks good. Another character standing there doing nothing. I mean, it's an interesting character, but like, he looks interesting at least, but what a character looks like says nothing about who they are. And I was actually thinking about making this into a good guy, which is actually kind of interesting, because I like that. Like, I like kind of how people look has nothing to do with who they are. I knew plenty of people that looked hideous in high school, that everyone treated like garbage for no reason other than they were born with genetics that would give them a hideous looking face, and yet they were great people. That sort of thing. Another logo design from when I got into my ATV accident. Chinese food. Perfect body work. What I don't like about this is there's a guitar pick right there, a shape for a guitar pick, and yet perfect body work. Doesn't really make much sense to me. Fun Zone. Yeah. I kind of like the World War II sort of airplane design, and a Gatling gun here. I would want that to be a space, like a fighter for space battles and stuff like that. I kind of like that. Another little romance picture, yay. Land of the Lost. I drew this when Newgrounds was really popular. The Bitey Castle, or the Brackenwood stories on Newgrounds were kind of being released incrementally at this point in time, and it got me to want to learn how to draw in how to animate in Flash. I never did learn how, primarily because I refused to spend the thousands of dollars necessary just to purchase a graphics tablet. I kind of wish that I had jumped on board with it much sooner than I did, just simply because I think I could have made something kind of cool with this idea of Land of Lost. A crappy image of Vosh, and a drawing of some lady, I guess. There's multiple perspectives going on here. Being able to see her eyebrow over here kind of tells you that it's almost a 3/4 view, and yet everything else about her face is the side view. That's something that you should keep in mind and be wary of. Prince of Persia, Warrior of Time, or whatever, Warrior Within, yeah, that's it. This is way too similar to images from that. So I can't claim credit for this image at all. I can't. It's just, but it was good practice. Practicing with different sorts of designs and stuff like that, trying to see if I could draw like a helmet or something like that. And how well can I? And a picture of Vosh injured. Now I do have more images, but that is all that I have time for, and I'm pretty sure this video has been going on long enough, and so I will let you guys go. Anyways, guys, that pretty much concludes it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you guys would like to get more notifications from me, feel free to join my Discord. A link to my Discord is in the video description below. If you'd like to support this channel, you can go ahead and purchase one of my t-shirts. A link to my Teespring is in the video description below, or go ahead and go to my Patreon. A link to my Patreon is the image of my mascot in the upper right corner of the screen right now. And if you've enjoyed this content and would like to see more, feel free to click on anything else that's appearing on the screen right now. Thank you very much for your time.